consciousness awakening. Around the world, traditions still have no absolute certainty that we are all one. We don't always feel this, as most people do not seem to have any sense of this oneness at all, but instead, rather feel they are victims of the world, and live their lives in isolation. I wonder why. And I discovered that it was because of our belief, of beliefs, that is shared by our society, and adopt this belief, which is so deeply ingrained in our minds, that most of us aren't even aware of it. But in reality it isn't the truth, because we are identified with the reform of all sense of self, and we live our lives invested in protecting invalid existence of this false identity. Well, we are all one. We are also individuals. Both are true. We're like individual branches emerging from a single tree. There's nothing wrong with embracing our uniqueness as individual branches. But if we don't remember we are part of a single tree, we feel lost and separate from all the other branches, and from the tree itself. We even become capable of harming the other branches, as well as the tree itself, as we forget that essentially, there is no division between us. It is always ever known, and so we believe this story to be the truth. For most of us, this story is so deeply rooted, and we don't even know it exists to us. It's simply just the way things are. So what is the story of our modern culture? What are the beliefs that shape our understanding of ourselves, and the world we live in? What is this story that we live by? And is it possible for us to see the story, that it is impossible to look at, our complex cultures? Is our lives under the influence of two main stories, the most widely accepted, of which tells the tale of us existing as separate bodies, in an unintelligent universe, made of matter, and through a random and unlikely process of evolution? Humanity came to be the second story. Tells a tale of us being created by a powerful deity. Created us in his image and who is the ruler of this universe, to whom we must worship and respect. These two stories shape the way that our society functions, because they shape the ways in which we as individuals perceive the world, and that's how we act in the world. Our current story suggests that we live in a world in which our individual lives have little significance of our stories, that promote a worldview in which our survival is dependent upon competition and struggle to gain resources at any cost, even at the expense of our fellow human beings. Our stories have created a world in which we fight against each other, and fight against the natural world, in order to survive. And so we've created a world in which we are rapidly destroying the earth, that sustains us in a deluded attempt to further our own survival. If we are to ever be free of the confusion and destruction that is our current way of life, we need to slow down, is our belief in who we are. We need to change our definition of self, because our current definition is that the self is something that is separate from the rest of nature, and this doesn't reflect how our reality truly is. Because the truth is, we are not separate isolated beings, like our culture leads us to believe. We're all strands of the web of life, parts of the greater whole of nature, and more than that, we are the whole of nature expressed in individual parts. It can be challenging and even frightening for some to change our definition of self, and to change beliefs that we have identified with all of our lives. But until we realize this fundamental truth, that our true self is the whole of nature, and that all beings are a part of ourself, then we cannot have peace and harmony on this earth when our actions reflect our understanding of oneness and have in mind the benefit of the whole. Then every action will be one that benefits all beings. But to accomplish this, we have to be able to look at our culture's narrative, questioning the stories that we live by, and change this worldview of separation. Firstly, by realizing that ultimately all is one, and all is self, and all is self.